Hey there, friends and enemies, Joper here again, and we got some massive The First Descendant news I wanted to go over, including updates to the beta that's coming up shortly and other information to talk about. So, jumping right in, the Crossplay Beta that was supposed to be in August has been moved to September 19th to the 25th, but it's also been changed from a closed beta to an open beta to gather as much feedback on the game as possible. I actually think this is a good thing for two reasons. One, August is slam packed with brand new games, and I think it would have been struggling for attention within that time slot. So that's why moving this, I think, is a good thing ultimately. But also, now that it's an open beta, more people can experience it. We can hopefully get a lot more feedback on where the game is heading, and it will be a more true representation of what the game is going to be at launch, because it feels like after they went over everything in the dev diary that this game is much closer to launch than I would have anticipated, and that the previous beta that we got, which I know a lot of folks think was lackluster, feels at this point more like an alpha test rather than a beta based on all the feedback that we're seeing. So I think that's a good thing. I think this game is heading in the right direction and might be a little bit underrated at this point from everything that I'm looking at. Jumping forward, we're also going to see much better graphics, performance, and lots of fixes from last year as well. They showed a little bit of video. Obviously, the gameplay that I'm showing in the background is going to be from the previous beta, the previous stuff that they've shown off. But going forward, it does look a lot smoother from just the little tidbits that we've got. But obviously, we can't really test that for ourselves until the beta, and I'm excited to do that for sure. Then we've also got some other changes to the narrative structure because they've adjusted the prologue and how you're going to be moving through the game when you first drop in, which I think is a good thing. I want that to be as streamlined as possible so people have no confusion, no concerns heading into the game, and buffing up the narrative of the game will be nice as well because it's not vitally important in a looter shooter. It does help keep people engaged if you have engaging characters and locations and missions and all that kind of good stuff. So I think that's good, and I'm excited to see how that new prologue plays out. Then we've got some grappling hook updates. This looks much cleaner. The movement in this game is what's going to separate it. That's what makes this game feel more like Warframe than something like Destiny, because the movement is insane. You'll be able to kind of really peruse the map at your will and leisure, and it looks actually like a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that as well. They don't have a full release date yet, but they'll have a better idea after the test. I would imagine if the test goes really well, they get good player feedback, that they'll be launching sooner rather than later. Hopefully the end of the year, early next year. But I think if there's still a lot of concerns, maybe that'll get pushed back once again. I don't see another beta happening though. If they do that, I think it'll be a sign that the game is in trouble. So I think 2 betas is going to be the limit, and hopefully this one goes over well, is smooth and everything, so that way there's no concerns heading into the full launch. Then we have the update that this game is going to be PvE only. I think they've previously announced that. A lot of people expected this, but no PvP. They have no plans for that in the future. I think that's a good thing, really focusing on the PvE aspect. There are other games like Synced coming out that will have PvP, so that's where you can get your PvP fix if you would like. They also have boss fights and world missions as endgames for now. However, post-launch, they're going to have dungeons and then raid dungeons eventually with like full open world bosses instead of the bosses that we get now in a secluded area. So I think that's a good thing, and again, I feel like this game is going to take the path of Warframe as long as they're able to stick with it, where it starts off well but gathers steam over time to be better and better over time. And that's why it being free to play is absolutely vital. And that's why they get into where they're going to monetize the game, mostly through battle passes and cosmetics. I imagine we'll see similar monetization with speed ups for real world crafting time like we do in Warframe. That's my guess personally. But they said everything that is in the game as far as characters and weapons and everything like that, all going to be earnable through in-game. So that's very nice. And again, the monetization has to be there. A studio needs to make money in order to continue making new content for the game. So as long as the game is doing well, as long as people are excited and it's not pay to win, then I think the monetization is probably going to be fine with whatever they put out there as far as cosmetics and the like. And we're already seeing the cosmetics. You have earnable cosmetics through the beta as well, which is nice. One of the back blings that you're actually able to vote on in Discord looks awesome. There's a polar bear one, which I think everybody should vote for because it's the best, in my personal opinion. But that's just my thoughts on it. So I definitely think you should check that out. But overall, I understand that the studio needs to make money, but you got to be very careful with the monetization not to veer into any kind of pay to win category. Otherwise, your game is going to be dead before it arrives. And I hope they learn that lesson and they keep that to heart for sure. Then we got progress will be wiped after the beta. Content delivered at the same time for PC and console. That's massive. I know there was some concern because we had the first beta on PC only that console would be left behind a little bit. I do think staggered launches, and whenever you have release dates for online and co-op games at different time frames from PC to console, what it can lead to is just a fragmented community. There is supposed to be, I believe, cross-play and cross-progression with this game. So that means that you need to have every part of the game accessible for all players at the same time. And it sounds like that's exactly what they're doing, and I'm really looking forward to that because it makes the most sense for sure. Now let's get into the weapons and the descendants, the characters that you can earn. So in the beta, there's going to be 11 new ultimate weapons. Ultimate weapons being weapons that are have customized special abilities. Two of them they showed off. One is a pistol that looks really cool. It buffs your crit damage when you get kills. And then the other one is a shotgun that looks absolutely insane. I'm very much looking forward to trying that out. But where the game shines is crafting your descendants. You can craft your characters, but you can also craft those ultimate weapons as well. Once the game does launch, there will be 15 descendants and 5 ultimate descendants, so there's going to be a lot of different options for you to choose from. I believe the endgame is really going to be chasing down the different descendants and getting the materials for them, so I'd imagine that's what the first bit of time you're going to be doing in the game is trying to craft your best descendants, your favorite ones, and chasing those down as often as possible. Same thing with the weapons. That's going to be the primary focus when you first start the game, and then from there, hopefully by the time you have a lot of those upgraded, we're going to have dungeons and raids and all that kind of good stuff, and also the world bosses to take on as well. So all that leads to me to believe that this game is in good shape as far as the future. They have good ideas. We'll see how they are implemented for sure. I'm excited to get hands-on. I think that the descendants they've shown off and that we've gotten hands-on with, they all play very different. So I'm excited to see all of them in action for sure, with the updated graphics, with the better mechanics, with frame rate being significantly better, because I do think this game has an immense amount of potential. I know it's not going to be for everybody, but I do think there's going to be a big audience for it, potentially, as long as they can deliver on some of the promises. And I'll have more coverage of this heading into the crossplay beta because I am very, very excited. I think it's going to be an absolute blast to play, and that's what I mainly care about. I'll have full guides on the various characters and all that kind of good stuff as well going forward, so definitely stay tuned for all that. My name is JoPa. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more of the First Descendant content. I am definitely going to be covering this game. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.